Your Butterick EB6100 has 100 stitches to choose from. Utility stitches, decorative stitches, there are buttonhole stitches, and there's some really pretty satin stitches as well. Ever so simple to choose the different stitches because they have numbers on the top of them. So for instance, if I wanted to stitch the little heart detail here, one of the decorative stitches, that's number 52. So I can come up to the program buttons here, hold the right button down until it goes to number 5. And then shortly until it goes to number 2. I'm actually on a twin needle setting here as well, so I can use this as a decorative stitch. If you wanted to twin needle stitch, you press the button. If you don't, then just make sure that the little icon isn't on the screen there. The twin needle function is really, really useful because it will prevent you from sewing stitches that aren't appropriate for a twin needle, like the buttonhole, but it also stops the needles from swinging too far from one side to another because there's a risk of you hitting one of the needles on the side of your foot as you're sewing. So it won't allow you to do that basically, so it protects itself if you like. Over here we've got your length and width adjusters, so you can adjust the length and the width of most of the decorative stitches. For the straight stitch, which doesn't have a width, when you move the width button it'll actually take the needle from one side to another, so you can get really close to the edge of your fabric. On the top is where you're going to wind up your bobbin. Over here we have your tension control. That'll be factory set at number 5, so there's no need to touch that really for most of your projects unless you've got some specialist fabric or you want to do some special kind of stitching. And then easy to thread because there's a diagram actually on the machine, and of course all of this is covered in your manual as well. As you come down to the front of the machine here, you'll notice a speed control. Now if you're using this with the foot pedal plugged in, when you put your foot on the pedal you can still slow this down. So if you're teaching somebody how to sew, or if you're not a very confident sewer, then simply turn down the speed a little bit. But the beauty of this machine is that you can sew without the foot pedal. So you can use the speed here to either go slow or fast, that's entirely up to you. And there's also a start-stop button on the front. Now this one's a lock stitch. If you're in a straight stitch, then it will take the machine into reverse, so that stops your stitches from coming undone. So every time you start a new row of stitches, you just go back a couple of times and then off you go. If you've chosen a decorative stitch, it could spoil the design by going backwards. So what it does in this case is to sew 3 or 4 tiny little stitches almost on top of each other, and that's going to lock off your row of stitches, so again they don't come undone. At the top here is your needle up or needle down, so you can choose whether you finish and start sewing with the needle in the up or the down position. That also means that if you're sewing around a corner or you need to pivot, you can lift the presser foot up, move your fabric around, put the presser foot down, carry on sewing, and you're not going to spoil your stitch line. The feet are snap-on feet, so there's a lever at the back. When you press it, the foot drops off and the next foot simply snaps on in the same way. You've got an extra high presser foot lift as well, so if you lift the lever right up, that'll help to take it over really thick fabrics and seams, like the seams maybe on a pair of jeans. On the bottom here, this is your throat plate or your needle plate, and there are markings on there, so it makes it easier to see where your fabric's going to be guided for sewing in a straight line or for seam allowances. And you've got a drop-in bobbin on the front here as well, so you can see when you're running out of thread. Now I've got the extension table on my machine because I find this really useful if I'm doing maybe free motion embroidery, so I've got somewhere to rest my wrists, or for larger items. For most of my projects then I'll use the extension table. If I take the extension table off, I then have a free arm. So this means that if I'm sewing around trouser legs or sleeves, I can slip the whole thing over the free arm and sew around in a circle, so there's less chance of me sewing those sleeves together. There is an accessory compartment that comes on the front here, and in here you have all of your spare feet, your spare needles and your bobbins, and there's room in there as well for you to keep some of your own threads if you wish. So it's a very, very simple machine to use. It's very clearly explained, and again remember you do have all of this information and more either in videos or of course in your manual. Enjoy using it.